Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another stream on the channel. Apologies for missing the last stream, guys. I am still kicking myself that I did miss it. I hope we're all well. And welcome back to the channel. It's been a hot minute, I feel, since we had a deadline stream, and it's good to be back. So I need to fix a few things because, again, like I said, last time around I was missing, so I'll need to update a thing or two, but bear with me. I hope we're all well though in chat, and do show yourself. I'm gonna get things updated, and you guys say a warm hello, because we have 125 minutes until the end of the stream, and I'll be here to answer absolutely every single question I can answer. So do stick your questions in chat, but wait for a second, because give me an opportunity to, give us a little timestamp, say where I am, what we done last week, how we are keeping. And show your face in chat for now, but I hope you can see and hear me all right. It is good to be back, and I'm looking forward to the stream. Looks like audio is okay. I'm just moving my microphone. I do apologize. And then we should be good to go. So, hello everyone. Hello Fahim, Kasberg. Hello Mr. Cup of Tea. I actually have a cup of tea, funnily enough, in front of me. Chai, my guy, says Reese. Good to see you, Reese. Let me know, guys. Are you in work, finishing work? You're jobless, but let me know where you're coming from. If this is good timing. Look like you painted your hair blue with these lights. Really? It's just the lighting. That's unusual. Apologies. What was I doing? Oh yeah, sorry. I was going to pull up my team. Okay. So, here is where we were for last game week. Again, I did miss the deadline stream, so I want to quickly recap. I took a hit for Rayan Shirky and also Mohamed Kudus, which was not ideal. -4, so 36 points overall. Really, really poor. And I benched Thiago. If anyone watched the team selection video, you would have seen that. But going into this game week, I don't think we're poorly set up at all. Not ideal. I mean, I think double Arsenal defence is definitely decent versus Liverpool at home, but I'm unsure about how this game is going to go. Elsewhere in the team, I've got triple City, double Newcastle, Kuna and Thiago, who, I would say are on form. Kuna is starting to pick up some form. He's actually having some decent performances, in my opinion. He also hit the post, I believe. Thiago, who has just been an absolute monster. On the bench, I have Raul Jimenez, where I'm in a position where I could play him if I wanted to, but really unsure how I feel about that. And also Joachim Andersen on the bench, who I will not be playing this game week. Let me update the chat. That's what I was going to do. So let me pull this out real quick so you guys can see your own messages. Pop out chat. And then we'll get to answering some of your questions. So bear with me just a second, guys. And we'll get you guys in here like that. Beautiful. Okay. I forgot about the last deadline. I got a green arrow, and now I'm in the top 10k again. I mean, that says a lot. You're in the top 10k and you're forgetting deadlines. What the hell is going on? But fair play. I mean, that means two things. Your team is already set up well. You should be working, says Tariq. And Ugly Truck says, studying for his final exam. Best of luck with that. Thiago says, hi Chai, top 20k right now, Verts, Bruno G and Kuna carrying the boat. Yeah, Bruno Guimaraes, I think in particular, has been an absolute wonder transfer, and I actually think he is the highest scoring midfielder in the game. Am I wrong saying that? Let me quickly pull him up. I could be wrong saying that. Total points. Bruno G, he is third, close enough. But yeah, absolutely amazing pick. Just going to take off my jumper because I'm absolutely sweating. But, where were we? Bruno G, Verts, who I sold last week. I mean, so disappointing, especially because I was a front runner in holding on to Florian Verts. I mean, it's so frustrating, but again, I have no regrets, because for me, with the doubt that he mightn't play, I just felt like I'd rather make the transfer. And I probably should have been a bit more patient, which I normally am, but again, no regrets from my end. Where are we? Thanks for Chow and Collins, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, they've been amazing. And they were one of two players that we spoke about last week. Another one was Tarkovsky. Hello, Nats. It's a bit of an interesting game week. Yeah, and it is an interesting game week. And I think what we should do first is a poll. Let's do a little poll on captaincy. Where are you with captaincy? I'm currently on Erling Haaland. And to be honest, I'm quite confident. And we'll pull up some of the projections in just a second to take a look at some of this week's game week's projections from Rob T. Let's quickly do that. Let's pull up Rob T real quick and see what his projections are saying for the game week. So, if we look at it player by player, what do we have here? For anyone unfamiliar, right hand side is optimal free hit. Left hand side is projected points for players. Actually zoom out a small bit so you can see the whole graphic. But Erling Haaland leading the line, I mean almost 8 points, which is quite ridiculous. I'm fairly sure he's expected 1 goal from the markets this week, which is very, very high, like extremely, extremely high. Volmani not playing anymore, stuck with him, recommend any striker. You know what, I actually would play and hold on to Volmani this week, unfortunately, because the reason I think that is there's not any standout striker you're going to. I think the only way you sell him is if you can do 2 moves. Hello Kanji, how are you? Hello Eddie. Kanji says Kudus to Palmer and Ray to Sanchez for a -4. Am I crazy? I think that is a bit crazy. Again, if you don't have a full 11, I think it's justifiable. But Mohamed Kudus, it's hard to justify -4 if you have a full 11, I'll be honest. They don't stand out to me bringing in a keeper like Sanchez when, again, Chelsea are still a bit of a mess, in my opinion. Palmer I don't mind. I know Palmer will come good regardless of who the manager is. Michael says, do you feel like we've missed a boat from Timber to Gabriel? Yeah, so I think that's a good discussion to have. Again, guys, sorry if I can't get back to all your questions. I see, Jose, you also have a good question. But I don't think necessarily we need to be rushing to get Gabriel at this current state and time. Again, I spoke about. He is the best defender in the game. There is no doubt about that. But it is not worth doing Timber to Gabriel. And I'll be honest, those who did that move last week were quite fortunate. It's not something that I would have personally advised, but fair play if you did go there. And long term, you would prefer to have Gabriel for sure. But no, I will not be breaking my structure or selling Timber to do it. Jose says, Yocha, I really wanted to do Kudus to Tav, but that means no money to upgrade Kuna to Palmer next week. So just going Garner. Yeah, that's a tough spot to be. I mean, Tav is, a great, great option in my opinion. I just wonder, Jose, is there another route to doing that maybe? Kudus to Bruno G if you can't afford him. Yeah, I do like that move for sure. Hello Maliki, hello Paul. Hello Davis, good to see you. FPL Chicken. I got Foden out for Rodgers, says Nats. Honestly, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. To be honest, I mean, that's been the last 2 or 3 weeks for me. It's just been quite poor, and there's been a lot of high scores that I've just not owned. And I think overall it's been quite low scoring game weeks, but man, it's been rough. I see Fletcher press conference at 5. That's right, Eddie. In half an hour, United will have their press conferences. Ruben Amorim has left United. What do you think of that departure from Ruben Amorim? I actually think it's really poor from United. Not only to keep him for 14 months and get rid of him, but secondly, United actually started to look good once again. So I actually thought that was really, really unusual. Good evening, Anto. Good to see you. I hope you're well. Why is Dorgu so high? New manager might not even start him. I don't know if the new manager might not even start him because who is there to play? Yeah, they're very thin at the back, or in general, due to AFCON and Bruno Fernandes. Who we will get more info on at 5 o'clock. Bench 2, Mukiele, Anderson, Ekitike, Shalaba. I would bench Anderson for sure, and I think it's hard. I feel like I would play. Would I? Definitely start Shalaba for sure. And I genuinely think it's a flip of a coin between the three of those. Ekitike could start, just because Anderson and Mukiele are not great. Probably Mukiele, to be honest. Svali says, Choi, what are your thoughts on Jed Spence in for Anderson? I don't love it. The reason I don't love it is, Porro does get a lot of minutes for Tottenham. Yeah, and secondly, last game we saw Ben Davies actually come up with a goal and Jed Spence be benched. The problem with Jed Spence is one, he is, I would say, one of the biggest egos in the league, and that doesn't fare well with any of our past managers, to be honest. Mourinho or Conte, Frank, even Ange. I think he stinks in terms of attitude. If he was more tame, I would think he'd be an option. But with Ben Davies back fit, and I still expect Spence to get most of the minutes, but Spence is not going to outscore a Van de Ven, I can't imagine. And I would prefer Porro and Van de Ven. Good to hear, Anto. I'm actually excited for the game week as well. I'm more excited for the game weeks when I have a shit week because, I look forward to hopefully turning that around as more of a challenge where if everything's going well, it feels like I have to do less. But, I have to react a bit more now. And Happy New Year, Zetlin, also. Connor says, hey, Shai, how's it going? I'm all good. Thank you for asking. Just finished work. 8 to 4 I was working straight into a stream, and I'm looking forward to it, of course. Again, let me know where you guys were. I know a few of you guys said that you had work. A few of you said you should be working, but, what were you at for today? And if it is not today for you, if it's the morning, do let us know also. Bench 2 of Van de Ven, Anderson, Raul and Hincapié. What would you recommend? I would start Hincapié. I do think it is very likely he starts. And to be honest, again, very little in Anderson, Raul and VVD. Like, if we take Virgil van Dijk and Anderson at 4 points max, I would say, if even, and Raul Jimenez, who's on form, who seems to be getting returns, but I guess what I would ask you is, how do you see the game between Fulham and Chelsea going, Connor? I actually think it'll be a tight game given the circumstances. Fulham have actually looked quite good, and I imagine they'll be on a bit of a buzz, after that result versus Liverpool. An absolute wonder goal from Reed. Part of me would almost just want to play Virgil van Dijk in case it's a 0-0, and he's a good chance of getting DEFCON, but very little in that, and I think it could go either way. What's your plan of getting Palmer, says Jose? Yeah, a lot of people talking about Palmer. I think he is the obvious one. Very little talk about Enzo Fernandez, though, who has the best XGI for a midfielder this season, I believe. And to be honest, I've not thought that far. And I think the reason for it is, I don't think there's necessarily... Look, Palmer on his day is excellent, but Palmer hasn't had his day for a while, even before he got injured. So therefore, unless we see some major downtick in Saka, sure, I could downgrade one of my strikers and do Kuna up, but, I don't think I'm in any rush to do it personally yet. Now, the fixtures are that good, and like I always say, fixtures definitely bring form. But I don't know. I really don't know. I need to see what Big Liam is going to provide for Chelsea. Very interesting appointments, especially for a 6-hour contract. Relaxing today, working tomorrow. Working from home today, Shaw. Yeah, I always work from home, Billy. Hope it's going well. Yeah, it's going great. I'm really enjoying it. Rolling this week, armband despite the recent form. Yeah, I hear that. The reason for me going Haaland is, again, the projections are just so high for City. City off the back of some poor results, and they do need to really fix up because they've been that bad. And I wonder how, this is going to suit City playing with two left backs at centre half, basically. What do you do for work, Shaw? I create an app for a local forestry company. Working from home, Snow Ruin Travels. Really, Tariq? Where are you from? Is it time to move Verts on? Yeah, I would say so, Anton. To be honest, though, if you want to hold him for that Burnley game, I wouldn't mind it at all. I'll be deadly honest. I was half tempted before any injury doubts. Sally says, 2 free transfers, Ekitike and O'Reilly to Thiago and Gabriel. Start Dubravka or Sanchez. First off, I would definitely start Sanchez for me. Ekitike and O'Reilly to Thiago and Gabriel. Again, if you told me Ekitike got Burnley, I wouldn't do that move. So to answer your question, I don't have a definitive answer. Again, if you think Ekitike is definitely a sell and you're fed up, go for it. But, I wouldn't be surprised to see Thiago blank for the next three, if I'm being deadly honest. He's just that type of striker, in my opinion. Should I bench Timber for Dorgu? I would. My risk appetite would play the attacking threat for sure, and the opportunity of a clean sheet. FPL Sharp says, I had Enzo a long time with his numbers were amazing with no Palmer in the team and he'd done nothing for me, unfortunately. And that was the case for a lot of managers, Sharp. And to be honest, that's sometimes the way things go. You can make the best decisions. It doesn't necessarily mean the best outcomes. But if that continues over a long period of time, well, you can bet your bottom dollar he will return. Again, it's just playing the probabilities, I guess. But yeah, it was frustrating to own Sharp, and particularly when Palmer comes in this team and, that means he misses out on the penalties. But I still feel like at that price point, he's definitely a decent own. I might go Gordon Captain, says Ballers. Yeah, I don't mind that, but again, how did the minutes look long term? I'm unsure. Well, not long term, sorry. Yeah, how do they look in this game? Is it an early sub, whereas Erling Haaland I can't see being subbed? Jose studies physics, and I hate programming class I have. Programming is the worst. It's just a language, really, but I can understand why you say that. Are you worried about Gordon's minutes, Shy? So overall, I'm not worried about Gordon's minutes, but I am, I wouldn't be surprised to see some early subs, but I feel like the fixtures are that good. He'll only need 60, 70 minutes on the pitch to do some damage, especially on penalties. Hello, Liam F. How are you? Royce and James in, Foden and Timber out. Absolutely not, Charles. I don't think I would do that. Virgil van Dijk replacements, I'd actually hold on to. I'll be deadly honest. If you already have Timber and Gabriel specifically, there's no one really you have to go to. Hello, Jovan. Come on, you Spurs, absolutely. Tariq is in the Netherlands and it's snowing. Flights, buses. Oh, I actually heard a lot of people trying to go to Amsterdam having trouble. That's really interesting. I think O'Reilly is a potential sell, says Fahim. I've sold him to Tarkovsky. I actually don't mind holding on to O'Reilly for the time being. And I think the reason for it now is he's almost guaranteed minutes with the amount of injuries. Now, I know that definitely weakens City's defence, but I still feel like, it is a great... it is still great to own O'Reilly. I just wonder... Is he still going to see some early subs? Because if he gets injured, I mean, they can't afford to have another injury in their back line. Actually, let me keep this up for you guys if you're interested. And we'll get back to some of your questions. Tempted to transfer out Nkapia for who, Davis? Are you not confident of a start or you're not confident of a clean sheet? Connor, trying to find a placement for my software engineering course is impossible, I swear. Yes, tough, Connor. There's a lot of people who I know have graduated and they're also struggling to find a place, so... Seems to be quite a common theme. Verts to Palmer, what do you think? Yeah, I like that move, Tout. I do like that move. Will you do team reviews? We can do it later down the line, some team reviews. Bro, are you really playing both Arsenal defenders? Well, I would rather play both Arsenal defenders than playing Joachim Andersen. Will we get a Bruno update? We will, in 18 minutes. Would you start Raul or Wilson, Chai? I would always start the player on penalties for me. Mateta versus Ekitike this week. Absolutely Mateta. The thing is about Mateta, he'll get chances. The question is whether or not he'll return. Because even him getting chances doesn't, he's so wasteful. Transfer Saka out for Rice? I don't think so. I saw an interesting thing on that. A lot of people are saying Rice is better than Saka, but you would probably never captain Rice. And I think until the day that comes, then, it's a fair argument to have. But will Krupi Jr. start? Yeah, Charles, I do expect Krupi to start ahead of Kluivert, probably in the 10. He's a very, very interesting option. Even showing my fellow Thiago Bencher, don't start. Would you start Roofs or Dubravka? Cheers. I love the way you're asking about a benching decision, even though you know how it went for me last game week. I would always play Roofs in that scenario, in my opinion anyway. Again, he's just been so good this season. Fahim says, is Ekitike a sell for a -4? And my bench looks thin. If you have no playing striker, I probably would Fahim. Start one, Soboslai, Timber, or Harry Wilson. You know what? Soboslai might have a decent chance of getting DEFCON this game, perhaps. But I would still say Timber, because Timber can also get DEFCON. Jose says, double Arsenal defence is perfectly fine. Yeah, I agree, but I actually really don't know how I see this game going for Arsenal Liverpool. Let's actually do a poll. Who do you have for the Arsenal Liverpool game? Do vote on the poll. Arsenal versus Liverpool. Arsenal draw Liverpool. I'm interested, guys. Let me know. I've got Dorgu. Would you start him? Absolutely, I'd start Dorgu. Ekitike is a hold. Yeah, if you can bench him for a week, absolutely is. Would you bench Truffert or Raul this game week? Truffert is another player that has a good opportunity at DEFCON versus Tottenham. I think I would play Truffert, but I would be confident that Spurs score. Again, I don't think there's too much in it, but maybe play Raul just for the penalties. Cha, I'm willing to take a punt. Who is the best Ekitike replacement? You know what? If it were me, I would be just forgetting about the strikers and I would be going to a 4.5 and getting Palmer, I would say. You know, maybe getting Mane or a Krupi Jr. I actually genuinely think Krupi Jr., if he gets consistent starts, will likely be in my team sooner rather than later. He's an exceptional striker and he's a player that needs to be getting consistent starts. And the only reason he's been benched is because, he's still young and inexperienced, but he's a raw talent. And I feel like it's only a matter of time until he was going to break into the Bournemouth team anyway. With the minutes he was getting anyway. I'm a Liverpool fan, so hopefully Liverpool, be great if Liverpool won, but I don't think it is likely with the form Liverpool are on. Nat says, of course I want Arsenal to win, but probs will since it's at home. Hello, Charlie. Start 2 of Pino, Anderson, Ekitike. You know what? In that case, I think I would just start Pino. All good, Sean. Thank you for asking. I see Richard's flag is done. Do you think he starts? I think there was a quote by... let me pull it up real quick. You know what we can do? Let's just recap on Fantasy Football Scout. They post tweets about some updates. And again, stay tuned, lads. We have the 5 o'clock press conference for United coming soon. So Scout were posting Axel Tuanzebe for Burnley. Villa, Pau Torres and Tyrone Mings are being assessed. Ross Barkley and Amadou Onana remain sidelined. Everton, David Moyes confirms Michael Keane came through unscathed in game week 20. KDH, Alcaraz and Coleman and Brantwaite still out. Marco Silva, same team as last week. Muniz, Tete and King remain out. Huang Yichan trained. Again, not that many of you guys own him, but Chris Richards is not fit enough to start, but he will be in the squad versus Aston Villa. That was the update I was looking for. So that's it on Richards. And moving through Bournemouth, again, the surgery to Cliver Areola confirms. Keith Andrews, nothing from Keith Andrews that is interesting. And Josco Guardiola being out, and also Ruben Diaz for 4 to 6 weeks. So that pretty much rounds up everything. I'd be interested to see if we get an interest in that 5 o'clock for United. Again.
Hi Chai, should I use my 1 FT to Ekitike to Watkins / Anderson to Rice or roll also Dubravka over Raya this GW? I have Gabriel as well.
Thank you, Aryan, for the super chat. So Aryan says, hi Chai, should I use my free transfer? Ekitike to Watkins / Anderson to Rice or roll also Dubravka over Raya this game week? I have Gabriel as well. What is going on, Aryan? You're benching Raya for Dubravka. Hold on. Ekitike to Watkins / Anderson to Rice. Okay, so I would do Anderson to Rice. Rather than doing Ekitike to Watkins. That way you can hold on to Ekitike for the Burnley fixture. Elliot Anderson for this game week is actually not bad also though. I understand models have him fairly high projected for this game week. I think it was 4.8 points, which was very high. But starting Dubravka over Raya, I mean, if you're that confident that Liverpool will score versus Arsenal, go for it. But I don't think in any world I would ever be confident in Arsenal conceding. But again, I would rather double down personally if it was me, but I can see it. Like, for example, I'm starting Alisson over Dubravka because I think United will definitely score. If United had no coaching staff, I still feel like they'd score, in my opinion. And thank you, Anto. He sent one Choi membership, and shout out Peter is after winning it. Peter? I think it is Peter. But thank you, Anto, for being so generous. Absolute legend. Shout out Anthony. And come on, you Spurs, Anto. I'd be interested to see, Anto, what you think of the Spurs fixture. Hincapié to Nunes O'Reilly is tempting me. Davis, I actually really, really like Nunes, personally. I'm surprised to see so many people selling Nico O'Reilly also. Jose says, did I see KSI's wildcard? Everyone was laughing at him before the deadline and he got so many holes. Absolutely scandalous, Jose. KSI's wildcard. I was actually one of those who was looking at his team going, what the actual is going on here? And it just worked out for him. Again, these are things that can happen in FPL. And I think a lot of players who returned for him, were players with great minutes, first off, and some Premier League pedigree. So, worked out for him, but let's see how it works out long term. And shout out KSI for playing. I do wonder, has that given an uptick for the community for FPL? Of course, KSI is absolutely massive. Up to Anto, thanks, says Peter. I love that, Peter, getting involved. Hello, Choi. Would you start Sabo or Anderson? Again, another decision that I don't think there's much in it. I would always start the penalty taker, Ken, even though it's a more difficult fixture. What can you imagine, right? Again, this is all it takes. Liverpool win a penalty. Szoboszlai takes it. Liverpool are defending for their lives at 1-0. He keeps DEFCON. Very similar to the free kick he scored in the last fixture. And then he's suddenly on for a double-digit haul. Whereas Anderson, he's not been involved in much attacking duties at all. Even set-piece duties he's taken less of. So I would play Szoboszlai. Arlov says, Minta to Rice, yes. Lacroix to Mukiele, maybe. Raya to Sanchez, meh. Assuming because you really want to desperately get rid of Minta. I would say overall, decent moves, but again, 3 free transfers, is it worth it? I think I would be hesitant. ZJ says, who to start, Wilson versus Chelsea or Granit Xhaka versus Brentford? Again, I would play Wilson, man in form for me. My condolences on Thiago. I can't imagine your pain and hope you're feeling better. Better now, go. Appreciate it, Alexa. I'm feeling much better again. Sore tummy and lack of sleep, but feeling much better now. And I'm glad to be back for a deadline stream. I really hate letting people down because I know people would have been tuning in on that weekend for a stream, and I did tell people that I'd be here. So, very annoying from my end. But again, I do appreciate you guys for coming back here week in, week out, regardless of how inconsistent I am. Choi, do you think Enzo will play in the 10, or will he compete with Santos in the double pivot alongside Caicedo? Callum, that's really hard to say how Big Liam sees what he wants to do with this Chelsea team. And it is going to be really unpredictable. Again, I believe his first game is going to be in the Cup. I wonder. I don't think I can give you a definitive answer. What I think goes out the window, because ultimately what he thinks matters most. If I were to guess, you play Enzo similarly to how he's been played this season in the 10. Santos has been amazing. It's actually very frustrating how good Santos is, but I think if you're the manager, you're coming into a new job, you play your experienced players where they've played so far this season. You don't change too much. I could be completely wrong, but in that Maresca team, there actually wasn't too many issues. I know he'll have a complete different style of play, but I mean for his first game at least. How do we feel about Man City defence? I'm still quite high on it, to be honest, Peter. Again, I think if you're guaranteed starts and they always provide significant attacking threat and some decent DEFCON numbers, then absolutely decent options. I would definitely not captain Thiago for me. Maybe it's just me being stubborn at this point. But Anto says, "Come on, you Spurs! I think we beat Bournemouth." He says, "Xavi back, Romero back, Cole Moani right wing. I decided I'm going to give one membership every deadline stream because I'm really generous and love supporting the channel." Anto, you're an absolute hero. That is not at all necessary, but I really, really do appreciate it. And you know what's great to see? I love that Peter came in here and said thank you for it. You know, that's what I love to see. And thanks again, Anto. I mean, you're an absolute star. Nunes is undroppable at the moment. Yeah, he's amazing. He's absolutely phenomenal. Replace Volomade or Ekitike, and for who? I would actually hold on to both of them this week, Mark, if you could. That way you get the Burnley fixture for Ekitike. Next week you handle Volomade. I actually think there's a chance that Volomade does start this game. I don't think Wissa can play that many games in a row. I have Verts Choi. Am I correct in benching him? Yes, absolutely. Choi, would you play Semenyo or use your one free transfer to Shirky, Enzo, Gordon, or Rogers? You know what? I think I probably would give Semenyo one last hurrah considering he plays Tottenham. I mean, you could go to Enzo, Rogers, or Gordon, or Shirky. They're all great options in their own right, but is it worth the transfer when you can just do it next week? I think if you want any of those options next week, Nick, I would do it. Vandenberg to Tarkovsky or Kudus to Gordon? I'm unsure on a Kudus return date. 19 minutes being subbed off is never ideal. I'll be absolutely honest. I would probably... Tarkovsky is just so good as well though, Michael, isn't he? You're not going to want... Why not do Vandenberg to Tarkovsky? Unless you see a big Gordon hole. But I think the safer thing to do is Vandenberg to Tarkovsky. And if you're confident in Gordon, go with Gordon. That's what I would say. Ray to Keller, which keeper has good run of fixtures? Keller is a great option. And Brentford have been that good. So nothing wrong with Keller. Sagar says, bit of a goalie dilemma this game week. Would you play Dubravka with United at home or Verbergen with City away this week? Yeah, as much as that is a dilemma, I don't think there's much in it. I think they both concede. To be honest, I'd just be tempted to play Dubravka. Because if they somehow keep a clean sheet, he's going to come up with a haul. Kieran, good to see you, Kieran. He says, you know what else is great to see? You, Chai. You're great to see. Thank you. And it's great to be back. And good to see you, Kieran. I hope your rank is continuing. I believe you're at a 3-figure rank. Shout out Kieran, man. He's always been around. And Shadows Ara says, why are you benching Verts? Is he not playing or... Well, I don't own Verts, first off. I probably would play Verts over an Anderson, but I don't think, Verts, who's barely got GA this season against Arsenal, the best defence in the league, it's not an appetising start in my opinion. I wouldn't be worried about benching him personally. Shatara says, what made you go for Gordon instead of Bruno G? Hey, again, for me, it's penalties. Penalties always edge it for me. I feel like Gordon's minutes, are starting to see an uptick. I don't mind if a player is seeing some sort of reduced minutes as long as he's getting starts. Particularly a team like Newcastle, where when they have home fixtures or they play a lot of the worse teams, they often score a lot of goals. And that's for sure. Do you think Keane starts this week? Yes, I would say so. Everton fans want him benched and if he is unfinished, I think there's a chance he gets started in the league for sure. Sorry, I thought the super chat was going to come true, but thank you to Sharp, who's become a cup of chai for 2 months run, and now he says, bench one for me, chai. Gahey at home to Villa. Alderete away to Brentford. Garner at home to Wolves or Anderson away at West Ham. Up to Villa, up to chai. Right, Gahey at home to Villa. I mean, you can't play Gahey if you're a Villa fan. Sharp, surely. You're on this run. You actually look like you're creating and generating good chances. If I were to bench one, it probably would be Alderete. Immediately when I look at that. And thank you for the super chat or for the membership, Sharp again. Absolutely phenomenal channel member. Always active in the WhatsApp, so we appreciate you. Is it a good time to buy Van de Ven? I'm giving my Semenyo one last chance as well. To be honest, Errol, I would be more tempted to go with Pedro Porro. I don't think this is a good game week to buy Van de Ven, no. 906, baby, says FPL is comfort. Crazy. Sushan says, I got 91 points last game week and jumped from 330k to 39k. You divided your rank by 10. By 10. What? All it takes is 1 week. That is crazy. Here, what is going on? What is going on? I don't even need to do anything. It's going crazy in here. Thank you, Maliki, who has sent us. We need a W in chat for Maliki. W chat for Maliki. You guys are absolutely on fire with the super chats. Maliki with the big 5 memberships, and no other than Kieran has won one. Sam Lambo, Mark Allen, No Weak Foot, and also Ben CFC. Congratulations, chat, and welcome everyone to the members. Spacine, we're doing the memberships for those who join the members themselves, not the gifted ones. But thank you everyone, and particularly Maliki. I mean, Maliki, no need. Silly. Thank you so much, Maliki. Again, you guys make my life so much easier. It's so smooth sailing, and it's even better that you want to support the channel. I mean, we're almost lads at the big 10k. If we look at my own channel real quick, I know I always do it nearly every single stream, but it's great to look at, to be honest, because the community we've built, not only the tight-knit one, but there are a good few people who are in here every single week without a doubt. So again, appreciate you all. No doubt we'll be on 10k soon, and you know, this is the quieter part of the season, and it's good to see the numbers are still there, lads. Even though I've been slacking on the content. I mean, just to think, imagine I was full-time, for example, what this could be. I'm sure it could be whatever we wanted it to be honest. And you know, very kind words to everyone. Thank you all, and appreciate the support. You deserve a try. Thank you, Ben. Alright, let's do a little recap. Enough about me and you guys supporting me. What rank are you guys currently at? I've heard some absolutely phenomenal ones in chat. Faris is at 55, Faris says 55k more. That would be crazy, imagine. But let me know what rank you guys are at. My projection for the week, for the season, for me, the goal for me would still be top 10k. I mean, I don't think it's impossible, but definitely going to be a tough feat. I think it is possible though. Alright, let's take a look at Twitter. 67k says a sim. Shatara 200k, 360k for Philip. Maliki 135, 540 for Fahim. Some great ranks in here, lads. Mazan is 40. Mazan, I haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you, Mazan. I feel like it's been a hot minute. Rank is poop 370k. Tank chicken. I'm in around the same. No need. 969 says Ben, my worst ever so far. Damn, that's tough, Ben. Perfool 979767. Nats is 510. 6k for Thomas. 28k for Davis, who is absolutely smashing it back to back. And Anto's on the road to 10k with us. He says, do hit the like button and subscribe. So, thank you everyone who's informed us on your rank. Good to see your majority of you are doing better than I am. Let's quickly take a look at United. Is there any news on United? Again, I believe the press conferences are going on as of right now. Let's scroll on the timeline to see if we can get anything. Again, it is only starting now, so be unsure if anything will be gone through yet. Let's look at solid Brighton source here, FPL Instinctive, who makes projections every single week on Brighton, and this is his predicted lineup for anyone interested. Again, it's good to see Brighton's team has finally gotten to the point where if you ask someone who somewhat watches football, they can name a few players. In recent weeks, it's actually been quite wild in the team that they're fielding, but now it looks good. Scans have shown Mohamed Kudus' injury is worse than first feared. Well, blimey, I am for one shocked. That is the least surprising thing I think I've ever seen. I mean, especially as a Spurs fan. I mean, we keep getting kicked down. That's so disappointing. No comment. That's the best thing to do. Can't believe it. Cannot believe it. Okay. We will be continuously scrolling the timeline. Get your questions in, lads. Paul says, where are you off to, Liam? Didn't see that. Mostly going Rodgers capped. Palace have a lot of injuries. That is quite ambitious at it. But I like it. I mean, I don't mind it. Will we get any Liverpool news? I don't think so, Fahim. I do not think so. But what Liverpool news are you looking for? I'm praying for an Ole at the wheel remontada. Yeah, I think it's likely that Ole comes in temporarily anyway for the summer, until the summer. Start Ekitike or Wilson? I would start Wilson. Paul, last season I'd always be commenting with Chai because we'd keep going back and forth with our ranks. Yeah. I mean, Paul has been here for ages now. Shout out Paul. Is Sanchez going to play? He's apparently back in training. So, to be honest, Thomas, I could not give you an answer, but I would start him, yeah. Is this a potential free hit week? I don't love this week for free hit. I think, it's not the worst week, not the best week. You'd probably want it later down the line, though, is what I would say. Hall, Tarkovsky, Keane, Chow. Choose one. Probably Tarkovsky is your safest bet here. Try Ekitike to Bone for a -4. Tots. Fahim again, only a -4 if you don't have 11 fielded. Not gonna lie, I take Ole as an interim in a heartbeat. I think a lot of United fans would. I actually don't think Ole was the worst manager, especially when you've seen the outcome of the other managers who's followed him. You want to know if Ekitike starts or not? Well, I think it is unlikely. The best football I've seen United play post-Fergie was under him, yeah. Remember Martial, Rashford, that link-up play, Jesse Lingard. Crazy stuff. You sold Kudus. I did indeed, not because I wanted to, because I had to. I had a feeling he'd be out for a bit longer than anticipated originally. The thought process behind starting Alisson. Well, either way, the thought process goes out the window. Reason being because I've Kuna versus Burnley, who's against Dubravka, of course. I've Alisson versus Saka. But if I'm playing, I feel like Burnley are probably the worst defence in the league. I think that might be fair to say. And for me, United are still one of the better attacks in the league. Whereas, one thing that stats or models don't account into things are maybe the game state of how the magnitude of this fixture between Arsenal and Liverpool. Therefore, I feel like it'll be a game where neither team will want to lose. As poor as Liverpool have been, I still feel like in a one-off game like this, we've seen it throughout the season when Liverpool were poor. For example, that Real Madrid fixture or Aston Villa when they were poor. They can still come up with wins or results in games like this. So I'm just going to play Alisson anyway because if he does keep a clean sheet, the likelihood is that it's going to be a haul. Whereas Dubravka, I don't see them keeping out United. I think when this manager comes in, or Darren Fletcher for the time being, he's gonna go and say, lads, play with a bit of heart, and it will be more attacking. I imagine it won't be 5 at the back. I think. Raul, Virgil, Anderson, start one. I think I would just play the pen taker and have very little expectations on. Hi, Joe, would you sell Ekitike for Volamaade or Thiago? I would definitely not buy Volamaade at this current time. Probably Thiago. Should I take a -4 to transfer Ekitike, Rea, Saka and Minta to Royce, Palmer, Sanchez, Mateta? I don't think so, Thomas. And the reason for that is, Rea, Saka are still great picks. And Ekitike is phenomenal next week if he's fit. Royce, Palmer, Sanchez, and Mateta. Again, I don't know how I feel about that, Thomas. I would like to think Hincapié is going to play. I don't know who could be, like, I don't see Lewis Skelly coming in and playing against Liverpool. Who's the best Diaz replacement, says Praful. I think Mateus Nunes. Or Trevor Chalobah, actually, is not bad. Empus says, here's my team. I'm top 40k, what do you think? That's a brilliant team. Interesting that you have Bruno, though. Yeah, Ole and Kobe Moinu back. Start Wilson or Timber? I would start Timber for DEFCON. Shatara says, do you have any plans to bring in Gabriel, or are you happy with Timber? I'm happy with Timber for the time being. I'm in no rush to get Gabriel, even after the circumstances of 2 goals back-to-back, or 1 goal back-to-back. If you had to choose between Anderson or Mukiele, I would go Mukiele. CP defensive void if Gahey goes to City? Oh, absolutely. If Gahey leaves that team, I think Gahey is severely underrated. A lot changes in that Crystal Palace defence if he goes. Particularly when Daniel Munoz is still not back. Choi, do you think Kudus will be back for West Ham or Burnley? Well, Starry, to be honest, I couldn't tell you. And the reason for that is because I just feel like when these injuries seem to come true for Tottenham, it is always longer than it seems to, or it's always longer than it probably should be. For example, Kudus could have a knock, but somehow be out for 3 weeks. Kolomwani, dead leg, out for a month. Dominic Solanke, ankle injury, out for a year. Same with Kulusevski, Madison. Our players are just brittle. So, to be honest, I wouldn't be confident because that's the second injury he's had this season. Should I start both Timber and Gabriel, have Ekitike and Florian Wirtz? To be honest, I'd probably hedge my bets. I wouldn't actually. I would play Timber and Gabriel. Please pick one, says Code Knight. Harry Wilson, Keane, Heaven, Krupi Jr. Probably Keane. Play Anderson, Senesi, or Alderete. I would play Anderson. How would you rate your squad out of 10? For this game week or long term? For this game week, I would give maybe a 7. And overall, I'd give it a 5. To be honest, I'm not happy with my team, and I've spoke about that not only on Twitter but in my videos as well. I'd be the first person to tell you I'm not happy with my team. The reason my team is like this is due to me having to set up a late bench boost, which was strategically probably not ideal, because now I'm feeling the pain of it. But out of 10, I would say it's probably a 5 right now, long term. And to be honest, what's going to change that is my transfers in the next 2 or 3 weeks are vitally important. I need to start changing things in my structure. Subchoi here. Who would bring in Raya, Pope, Sanchez, someone else? I think I would go Sanchez. Their fixture run is phenomenal. I hope Tottenham do not sack Thomas Frank. I actually think he needs some more time. And for me, the squad has always been the biggest issue. Does Hincapié start? I think it is likely. Do you put much thought into who your vice captain is going to be? I don't put too much thought into it. The reason being because I just slap it on the second best player in the team, and that's it. And I don't try foresee in case of some snowstorm or something. I just always put it on, whoever has maybe the best fixture outside of who I'm going for. Let's take a look on the timeline and see if we get any United news. Again, we'll be scrolling. Doesn't look like we're going to get anything interesting yet. Sorry, let me pull up chat again. Last deadline for the best part of 2 weeks, praying for a green. There's nothing worse than a long break. Oh, I didn't realise that there's actually an international break. For some reason, I thought the international break was after this week's Saturday. That's tough. I'm going to have to enjoy the stream while I can. Should I take a -4 for Ekitike, Reyes, Saka, Minta for Royce, Palmer, Sanchez? Answer that question already, Thomas. Yeah, that's tough. I hate the international breaks. Let's scroll down real quick. So we're back on the 17th of Jan on a Saturday. Oh, that is not ideal. Hate to see it. But at least this is City, United's early kickoff, and some decent fixtures there in terms of FPL. Yeah, love that. I did not realize that there are a lot of 7:30 games on tomorrow. I did know West Ham were playing Forest, but what's that? 7:30 kickoffs and 8:15s. What is going on? This season has been so weird in terms of fixtures. Scrolling on X like that is quite risky. Ah, yeah, but it is what it is. Like, I mean, I'm sure we're all grown ups here, and if you're not, apologies. It's not international break, but cups. Oh yes, Liam, apologies. Is it? Let's do start a poll. Let's do Enzo. Let's do Enzo / Foden, Palmer / Cherky. Let's do Enzo. I'm actually not going to do Enzo Cherky because I feel like that doesn't make sense. Alright guys, I don't know if we quiet out for a second. But basically the poll I wanted to do was Cherky, Palmer, Foden, Enzo. Cherky, Foden, Enzo. Apologies, guys. Who do you prefer? Alright, polls up. Do hit the vote on the poll. Again, do hit the like button and subscribe, by the way, chat. We are edging towards 10k subscribers, and also, let's try get the like goal of the stream to poll so outrageous it crashed the stream. Exactly, South. Yeah, but we're trying to get to 120 likes this stream. Let's try absolutely smashing it at the park. Yeah, I prefer Cherky Palmer. I'm muted. Am I back? I hope I'm back. Raul versus Chelsea goal. Do you think so, Chat Sports? Yeah, I would start Wilson over Ekitike. Because Arsenal, again, best defence in the league. Cherky is benched soon. Do you think so? Would you go Virgil van Dijk to Tarkowski or Shalava, or else I need to start guest this week? I would play Virgil van Dijk this week and hold him for the Burnley fixture. Is Mukiele worth the extra 0.2 million of Alderete for a Rodon replacement? I suppose, Thomas, it depends what you want to do long term. If your eyes are set on, you're stretching absolutely every penny going forward into the rest of your team, then, Alderete is not a bad replacement at all for Mukiele. Am I still muted? You still can't hear me? Uh-oh. He's not muted? What is going on? I'm so confused. I can see my chat bubble moving. Refresh your devices. You're good, Fahim. I thought I was tweaking. Apologies, guys. Apologies. I do apologize. Okay. Do refresh if I am muted. But let's do a little scroll on the timeline. Again, the stream crashed, so it looks like that's why I was muted. Let's see if we can get any United info. Meerkat has some projections here. Who does he have? Ekitike chance of starting? How have we still not got... Let me look at Scout, see if we can get anything. Scout have not refreshed or published anything anyway. Okay, let's get back to my own team. Okay, so let's talk a bit about more about my own team. And let me tell you where my head is at currently, not only on maybe strategy, but how I'm going to start moving my team long term. So again, I've had 1 million in the bank, and I've done Mohamed Kudus to Anthony Gordon before I was priced out. Gordon. Wait, Gordon actually didn't rise last night. I was fairly sure he was projected to rise. FPL status. Maybe he didn't, or live FPL. Sorry. I was fairly sure that was going to happen. Maybe I missed so. All predicted, but no Gabriel, no Gordon. Okay. So he was projected to rise, but didn't. Makes sense. But yeah, going and looking at my team going forward. By the way, let me make sure I'm not muted, guys. Do let me know in chat. But looking at my team, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. This is how it looks for this game week. Again, we'll be playing Thiago over Raul. And captaincy is going to be on Erling Haaland. Next game week, this is how we look. We have, the fixtures land quite nicely. I think if you consider United without a manager, Thiago versus Chelsea with the new manager, triple Arsenal versus Forest, Alisson, which you wouldn't mind, versus Burnley at home, and double Newcastle, like I said. I actually feel like I could roll this game week. And I also have Anderson and Raul, who plays against Leeds. So the first thing that would happen here is, I think I probably would play a 5 at the back. It's either 5 at the back or play Raul versus Leeds and bench Anderson. Benching Anderson is probably too risky for my liking, and I probably would be tempted to start him over O'Reilly. But anyway, I'm definitely, as of now, likely rolling in Game Week 22. In Game Week 23, that leaves me with 2 free transfers. Again, Gordon plays against Villa, which I would deem a very difficult fixture. But we've triple City versus Wolves at home. Again, absolutely brilliant. And I think this would probably be an opportunity if I wanted to sell Kuna. Again, maybe I'll want Bruno Fernandes, or I might want Palmer at this point in the season. But let's just say for now, with 2 free transfers, I probably would either downgrade Raul or Thiago, or Thiago. Sorry, yeah. Again, I think my preference right now is probably Thiago for Mane or Krupi Jr. Krupi Jr. if he becomes an option. I actually prefer Krupi over Mane because I just feel like, the fixture is long term, and Bournemouth as a team are significantly better than Wolves, of course. And then just play Thiago this game week. And then, like I said, what I could do is move Matheus Cunha up, and that leaves me with what? I think it's 9.8. I could try get funds elsewhere, or I can just go to a Bruno Fernandes, who plays against Arsenal this game, which is not particularly great. But again, if he's in a 10 or can get DEFCON, not too many worries there. Going into game week 24, that's how it looks, and not the best for Newcastle. But I feel like, in a home fixture like Brentford, you probably hold on to him and then get rid of for Tottenham or City, to be honest. Either. And hopefully at the time, if I bring in Krupi, that he is starting, because then I can bench Hall. And that looks quite a good team also going into game week 24. So, short term, that's how we're looking, and that's what I'm thinking. Again, so much can change between now and then. But let's take a look on the timeline to make sure we're not missing any news about Manchester United. Again, I believe there's currently a press conference on right now. Let's look up Darren Fletcher and see if there's any information. Doesn't look like there's anything yet. Okay, it's on right now. He must have been a few minutes late. Okay, a little refresh on the timeline. Predicted Spurs lineup from Alistair Gold: Porro, Romero, Vicario, Van de Ven, Spence, Paulinho, Bergville, Cole Moani, Xavi, Odebert, Richarlison. I would love if Xavi Simons became an option in the game again. But with how stop-start the season has been, I don't think we'll be going there anytime soon. But maybe, just maybe, when the fixtures get good, which is very soon, I believe, it's around the corner. West Ham, Burnley, City, United, Newcastle. Actually, maybe not the greatest. Maybe if you're going to do it, the next right now is when. But yeah, not ideal. Anyway, going back to chat. Sorry. Let's start answering some of your questions again. Hi, Chai. Nice way to announce yourself, Maximilian. I've finally overtaken you in the mini league. Fair play, Maximilian. I'm having an absolute stinker. Legend week 59 of mispronouncing Kudus, my name. Let's go to Kudus to Bruno G, Gordon or Rodgers. Got 9 million in the bank. Probably go Gordon. Again, I went Gordon. Start one of Richards, Anderson, Mukiele, or Raul. I'd probably play the Pentaker and Raul. Who are the current essentials? Good question. One Arsenal defender. Erling Haaland, of course. One Arsenal attacker. Take your pick in Saka or Rice. And other than that, I don't think there is too much that is essential. Yeah, imagine Darren Fletcher starting his two sons. Would you wildcard if you're having a bad season? No matter how poor I was doing right now, unless my team was a shambles, I wouldn't wildcard. Hello, Red Devil. Good evening. We don't care about Spurs. Good to see you have removed all Spurs players from your team. Thank you, Downtown. Yeah, it's been tough owning Spurs players. FPL Top, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see you, Chris. Who's ready for a Watkins haul? Yeah, Watkins is looking quite good so far this season. Well, not this season, in recent weeks anyway. He's definitely a man on form. Do I sell Sob to Bruno G or just hold for the Burnley week? I would definitely hold Dominic Szoboszlai. Shirky and Palmer winning the poll, 70%. Shoy, how do you feel about Minter to Grealish? I actually don't mind that move at all. I quite like it. But to be honest, I'm not, mad on Grealish anyway. Again, I don't think he's going to have massive output, but definitely a good option. Where are we? I'm just seeing if we're going to get quotes out of this press conference. Yeah, look at this. Our three midfielders against Burnley. Brilliant. Okay, back to the team and back to the comment section. What's up, Troy? Hello, Liam. What's up, Liam? What's up, Chris? Let me know what you guys were doing before you hopped in here. I assume you have an actual life and you have you had a day job or something. Lacroix to a 4.6 million defender to accommodate Minter to Rodgers. 4.6 million defender. Who we got then? Let's have a look. 4.6. Van de Ven is a decent option. I feel like Van de Ven is the one for me. Again, he's not going to score you crazy points, but out of the options, he's probably the best, in my opinion anyway. Had a bit of coaching. Nice one, Liam. What is the mini league code? Sharp, if you're still in here, could you send in the mini league code or anyone with it? To be honest, it would be much appreciated. Also, if you go back in some of my old videos, it is in it. I just don't have it sleight of hand. Shaft says he's surprised by the poll result. For him, it's obviously Enzo and Foden. Yeah, Palmer and Shirky is definitely the more risky one. Working and advising colleagues of the deadline and talking them through their transfer suggestions. Maybe, Chris, you need to start a YouTube channel. By the sounds of it. I feel like any of the FPL nerds, that's what we do though. We go into our workplace and we mansplain why and what we're doing. And they look at you like you're crazy and they say you're absolutely a nerd. That's how I've always found it anyway. They go, are you not giving up on that? Hello JC, good to see you also. Bruno G or Florian Wirtz this week. Brought in Bruno G or Wirtz this week. I don't know what your question is, but if I had to choose between them, it would be Bruno G. One for All says, if I have Wirtz and Ekitike in my lineup, do I still put Gabriel in the starting 11? Well, that's the thing with Gabriel. His returns have come from goals in the last few weeks. Of course, he did have that one massive hole because he got subbed off. But I mean, you have to play Gabriel. Shadow Vish, who's put in the mini league code Donfa. Appreciate you. What's up, Kenny? He says, just finished my day at uni. Your second semester. I can't speak my first day uni, second semester. What was I saying? Is Kuna captain worth a punt after United new manager bounce? Well, to be honest, I think United get worse overall because Amarin was actually starting to progress them, in my opinion. Is Kuna worth a punt though versus Burnley? I mean, absolutely, he's worth a punt. Is he better than Haaland? I don't think so. But is it worth a risk? Potentially. I'm not going to try to persuade you to do it. Would you sell Semenyo? I have Foden, and would you swap him for Cherky? No, I wouldn't. I don't think. I think I'd just hold on to him for one more week. Who would you start between Harry Wilson and Dominic Calvert-Lewin? Again, for me, I would play the pen taker, even though it's a very tough fixture for him. Hello, Mike. Starting Paqueta and Elliot Anderson over Ekitike this game week. Am I crazy shy? Absolutely not. Paqueta looks to be back. Paqueta can sometimes get DEFCON and penalties, set piece share. Elliot Anderson guaranteed DEFCON it looks this game week. 6.9 midfielder. Is Rice okay? Yeah, Rice is okay. 6.5 or 6.9 midfielder. Ray and Cherky still an option. It's a shame the amount of price rises that Declan Rice has gotten. Enzo Fernandez, definitely an option. Cherky, Enzo. I wonder, is Gakpo going to come back into my thinking sooner rather than later? Again, start of the season, he was amazing. Not specifically him as a player, but, you know, I do expect him to play a lot of these games. Hi, Chai, start one. Wirtz, Alderete, Anderson for Fulham. To be honest, if that was my options, Cigar, I would just play Wirtz. Again, Wirtz is actually not too bad for DEFCON as well. He's going to be a busy boy. Shaft says, just want to say your pod for Fantasy Football Scout is always the first bit of content I consume every single week. Priority on my commute. Love that it's mid-game week with reactions to a game that's going on. Thank you so much, Shaft. To be honest, I actually, I don't get too much feedback about the podcasts on Scout because I'm unsure if people come from there or if it's the other way around. Do people come from here and watch from Scout or watch to Scout? But do appreciate the kind words. That's very nice to hear, and feedback is always appreciated. Clutch Time Cast says, what do you think about Ekitike out, Igor Jesus in, and then next week Palmer in for Semenyo? I don't love that clutch, to be honest. Igor Jesus, he might get a goal or two, but over a season, I just don't know how much a Sean Dyche's striker is going to score in a struggling team. Bowen, Watkins, or Thiago to bring in for Ekitike. Again, for me, the pick out of a bunch would be Bowen for sure. Do you like Rice and Saka for a double up with Gab? I do, James. Would you start Szoboszlai or Anderson for Fulham this week? I would start Szoboszlai. Penalties, you never know. Maximilian, I'm not hearing you out. Szoboszlai and Mukiele, I would start Szoboszlai. If it was me. Probably the wrong answer. Again, expect a 2-pointer, but I think, all it takes is a penalty. Or a free kick, like you saw in last time around. Is there anyone you'd replace Virgil van Dijk with for a -4? Absolutely not. I don't think so. Not when he's got that Burnley fixture next week. Come from here, but watch everything here. Just the Twitter days. Oh yeah, James. The Twitter days are absolutely undefeated. I assume there would be a lot of people who would have came from Twitter. Happy says, wow, new camera? No, not particularly. Is the quality good or something? Will Bowen be on penalties? I don't think so, with Paqueta on the pitch. What's your read on Palmer's minutes with injuries, Arsenal in the Cup and potential Champions League playoffs? Yeah, and new manager. Again, it really depends on how he wants to manage it. So, to be honest, it's going to be really, really hard to gauge, and that's why I'm not too eager on getting Palmer, because we don't know what Liam Rosenior wants to do first off, and secondly, with all that in question, it makes it even harder. Screw it, says Fahim, he's going Bone, love that. Do I start Heaven or already have Dorgo starting? I would double up if I somehow already have Heaven. Are you happy being so heavy at the back, Chai? I'm not. Or would you change it if you had a defender wildcard? I would absolutely change it. If I was changing my defence right now, I would go one of... I would double up Timber and Gabriel. I know it's still big, but, Hincapié is not ideal. I would probably have Mateus Nunes, and I would have one of James Tarkowski, Collins, or Keane. On goal, I would definitely not have Alisson. Thank you for subscribing. What's that? Shaftsy. Update on Semenyo's moves. It looks like he's going to play Tottenham. No, Paqueta's back in training, I believe, so should be okay for a start, I believe. Best defender under 5.2, Alderete or Mukiele? I prefer Mukiele, of course. Fletcher just said that Bruno and Mount have been back in training, so good chance they're in the squad. Not sure about the start. Came from Scout on here, says Shaft. Yeah, so they were the quotes, Peter. Thank you for sharing that. That we got before the press conferences as well. So expand on this fast. Yeah, it's definitely good news for United overall. Has anything else came out on that, I wonder? I would be intrigued. But yeah, that's definitely positive news for United overall. What would you do with Ekitike? Alex, if I had an 11, I would bench him for this week and just play him next week, hoping he plays. Rosenior played a 4-2-3-1 or 3 at the back sometimes. Yes, like, let's quickly look at Rosenior's Strasbourg real quick. Let's go on FootMob. Can we look up Liam Rosenior? I don't think so. Oh, we can. Liam Rosenior, Strasbourg, 32 wins, 14 draws, 17 lost. Interesting. So let's look at his most recent game lineup. So he played a 4-2-3-1. Penn Chilwell. Oh yeah, Blue Co. I forgot. I was gonna say, I was like, what the? But yeah, I forgot he went to Strasbourg. Yeah, I mean, I think that was the wrong move for United and Chelsea. And you know what? I'll be deadly honest from a footballing standpoint. I'm absolutely delighted as a Spurs fan. It's not to say we're going to keep Thomas Frank, but I think now, if you're Tottenham, with Ruben Amorim only improving for United, and you know Maresca doing the job he's doing with the youngest team in the league, I was looking at United and Chelsea going, we're never catching them in our current state. But now this really sets them back. Why would you have 14 months of Amorim to sack him now? It makes no sense in my opinion. Why are you benching Raul at home? Good question. I've thought about this long and hard. There's definitely a debate on whether I want to go Raul over Thiago. But I cannot bench the man in form playing for a better team. I know, like, they're both on penalties. It's not ideal, either of them. What's the latest on Minta? There's a minor chance, Chris, that he can be involved with the squad. Do not expect him to start. Choi, have Virgil van Dijk, Keane, Dorgu, Anderson plus Ekitike. Do I sell Virgil van Dijk to Chow this week? If not, I need to bench ×2 of the 4 above. Yeah, to be honest, I'd rather have to bench 2 of the above, Anderson and Ekitike. I would play Dorgu, Keane and Virgil van Dijk and have Virgil van Dijk for next game week versus Burnley. The only exception for that is I would get Malik Chow if you want him long term. I'm praying we keep Frank also. Anto, you're the only other person that I know who also wants to keep Thomas Frank. Thoughts on Kuna replacements? I'm actually not, I don't think Kuna is necessarily a sell. He's actually starting to pick up form and I still feel like United will score goals. So, to be honest, I have not thought about it. But Bruno is the answer. Like, if we're selling Kuna, the best player to go to is Bruno. I would have taken Choi as a manager for United before continuing with Amorim. If I see a 5 at the back again, I switch to a different sport as a fan. Jeez, Peter. That is... I hear it. Imagine me leading the line. What would I do if I was Manchester United manager? I would also play a 4-2-3-1, except Kobe Minu would be in a 6 or an 8. I'd have Kuna in the 10. I'd have Benjamin Sesko up top. On the left I would have Patrick Dorgu, or on the right, sorry. I'm just playing, guys. Don't listen to me. Is there going to be a mystery chip this year? No. Spurs are depressing me right now. I know, it is terrible. Bruno Fernandes in game week 24 says, Chicken, we'll be there. Absolutely, we'll be there. The problem with Target and Burnley is defenders don't haul against them. Defenders do haul against Burnley, Mike. They're actually quite good at getting rid of Defcon anyway. Why Gordon over Bruno G? Yeah, I still feel like Gordon is the better pick than Bruno G for me anyway. You get my vote for interim. Cheers. I also have Allison, but I'm planning to play Dubravka. Nothing wrong with that. The reason for me, Michael, for starting Allison, again, I don't think there'll be much in this at all. I see both of them conceding. But, again, I feel like game state goes into this massive game for Arsenal, even if Liverpool have been so poor. And the magnitude of the game can kind of change things. That's just me, though. And if you're starting Dubravka, I understand it. Who would you move Minta to? And bench Virgil van Dijk or Ekitike? I would bench Ekitike. And I would move Minta to Tavernier. Do you think Foden starts this week? I don't see why not. His minutes have been phenomenal in recent weeks. Say baby chappy is the bee. There you go. Alright, let's do another little refresh on the timeline, ladies and gents. Let's go to Simon Peach, who is quoting, it looks like. Yeah, still nothing interesting, lads. Again, I think that's going to be it from the press conferences. Not that it was anything big, but I have to comment on this. Yeah, so if I'm looking at chip strategy, lads, and form or fixtures, sorry, who we're going to be targeting, there's no doubt that we'll want a double up on Chelsea sooner rather than later. A lot of people will go there early. In terms of chip strategy, again, I don't know if you guys would have seen this, but who was it that I saw? Sorry, let me think for a second. Who was it that posted about chip strategy? I think it was Oscar. It was Oscar, FPL Focal. We're looking at a potential double already, which is always intriguing. So, where was it? Here it is. Potential double game week for Arsenal, which makes me really want Gabriel plus Timber plus Saka as my triple up. Double game week likely depends on the League Cup semis. I'd be selling Raya for Sanchez, depending on if Arsenal, if they beat Arsenal in the League Cup and finish top 8 in the Champions League. So that is something we need to keep an eye on, for sure, because that would be triple game week or triple captain territory for Gabriel later down the line. If we, if it came to it, I think everyone would just triple captain Gabriel, and I think the reason for that is because these are likely quick turnarounds, especially around February. So you'd imagine that you probably wouldn't be comfortable going with a Saka. Again, all it would take is one big Saka haul before that week, and people would be back on Saka, but. Just to keep in mind for anyone who hadn't seen this, it could be important. Not that we already won't have triple Arsenal come then, but are you looking to buy Palmer from game week 24? Not particularly. Again, I'm more than happy to see how Liam Rosenior's team sets up. February 18th or 19th, Wolves, a match goes there since Arsenal play February 12th. So FA Cup match in the 4th round is on Sunday. They have Sunday turnaround and FA Cup round 4 to Tottenham away. I mean, you've done it for me there, Emda. That is interesting. And I appreciate you for putting it in. Hey, Shai, any player you are targeting in the next few weeks? Yeah, for me, the next few weeks, to be honest, I actually don't mind holding on to Sharky, Kuna, Gordon and Saka. I actually don't think there's any issue with Saka. For me, I will have to start, I want to bring in a 4.5 for Thiago or Raul. If I do Thiago, I can get Cole Palmer. For example, if I do Thiago, let's just say, who is a man in form, which I don't want to do, but let's just say I do Krupi, who I think is the best 4.5. He's 4.6 now, but still deem him as the best. Oh, I just realised I still cannot afford Cole Palmer, which is not an issue. I think if I could choose it, obviously would be Cole Palmer, but let's do it by price. I think if Fernandez gets good minutes in this next game, I could be boring and move Fernandez back into the team. I know it's really boring, but again, he's proven now how good of an asset he is. Also, I think Cody Gakpo. Again, I'm keeping an eye on him. The fixtures aren't great, but if I could bring him in for a Burnley at home entry point, and then he has 3 difficult fixtures, but 2 of them are at home. Before going Sunderland, Forest, West Ham, Wolves, Tottenham, Brighton, Fulham. I could be tempted on a Gakpo considering he's 7.3 now, which is very, very cheap. I've already got the Arsenal triple up, so I can't look at Bukayo Saka. But if you do not have the triple up, I'd actually wouldn't mind going Rice and Saka. But yeah, those would probably be the 2 for me. In terms of defence, I quite like Michael Keane still. I would love a Tarkowski or a Keane, but again, budget-wise, I can't get there. Do you watch any FPL content creators or just play your own game? Not particularly. I think the only thing that I do is if I am, out and about and I haven't had a chance to get maybe injury news, I might just throw on someone to get some injury news. Every now and then I might pop into Gianni because, again, he's a mate of mine. And again, after a stream, I might pop into Ross. Do let me know in chat, guys. Who do you watch? I know you 120 are in here, and do hit the like button for me. But, when you're not watching me, or if I'm out with a red flag, who's your streamer of choice? For me, my favourites are... My favourite is probably Fran and FPL Wire, Prass, Oscar, and Andy. And Raptor for the streams after when I'm done streaming. I might just throw them on for 10-15 minutes. Only UG. That's a loyal dog right there downtown. Shatara only watches me and Yan. Or Gian. Interesting. Let's talk FPL. The Wire, Fran, Harry. Jan Bartra and Choi is all I watch. Love that. FPL Harry. Yeah, I suspect Harry will be popular. Harry, Fran, and sometimes me. Nice one. Gianni, CGA, and Yelena. Yeah, Maliki's on the whole family. Fran is the GOAT. Love Fran. Focal, Gianni, Raptor, says Derek. Love that, Derek. Derek, you always seem to be able to pop into me. I respect that. The Dude Brother says FPL Focal. Only Focal and you. Yeah, lads, Oscar is genuinely the nicest fella ever. Like, genuinely. I had the opportunity to meet him, and he's exactly what you'd expect him to be. Top guy. FPL Mate for chip strategy and visual content. Yeah, I love that. FPL Gunneth. I've never heard of FPL Gunneth. Sorry for my ignorance. I work out on the road, so I binge watch them all. Yourself and Gianni and Andy are my faves. Love that. FPL Ryan. Yeah, I see Ryan has grown. The Wire. Harry Ross. FPL Mate. You're the best. I always watch your deadline stream. Thank you, TNS. Hey, Chai Bud says Johnny. He says, would you start Raul, Soboslai or Hall? I don't know how you're in a position to bench 3 of them, but I think it would be Lewis Hall. DEFCON capability, good fixture, good attacking threat. It's a sad day when Chai's not live. Pickle, she's a Villa fan. Would you start Welbeck over Dallo? No, I wouldn't. Yeah, interesting to hear, lads. Again, respect all of those guys and had the opportunity to meet a few of them. Let's do a little scroll on the timeline. Let's do a cheeky little scroll to make sure we're not missing anything. What is this on Kudus? Tottenham, several matches after scan on site. Wow. Opens the door for Xavi Simons though, I guess. Even though he plays centrally. But maybe the team will be more adapted to Xavi. Had a few weeks of training on his own because there's been no matches for him due to suspension. Okay. I do feel like Kuna is a respectable captain for this game week, by the way. And again, just to go back to Rob T's graphic, because I didn't really talk about it on it too much, even though I had it open. But let's go back to Rob's graphic. Again, Kuna is second. And he's not far behind Haaland, to be honest. Again, it's just the opportunity of penalties, of course, the fixture, the minutes. They're just great. Saka fourth in a Liverpool at home fixture. I mean, that's mad to me. But it's not a surprise, to be honest. Collins is also really high. Kevin Shade featuring on the list once again. Crazy work. And Senesi is somehow snuck onto the list. Choi looking kind of hench at the moment. Do you think so, Sharp? Been working on it. I have bench boost this week. Do I take a hit or Vandenberg and get Chow or Tarkovsky? I have bench boost this week. Do I take a hit for Vandenberg? Yes. First off, yes, take a hit. Because the replacement of Chow or Tarkovsky, I could say, could deem a justifiable amount of points for a hit. My preference would be Tarkovsky, but considering you're on bench boost, and I don't know your actual team, but here would be my thought process, but because you already have money on the bench, I don't think you want more money in Tarkovsky, so therefore I would go with Malik Chow. So I hope you're doing well. I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. Would you start Petrovic versus Spurs or Areola versus Forest? Areola versus Forest. If you were on wildcard, would you have Rodgers or Shirky and Watkins or Bowen? I would have Shirky and Bowen. Shirky and Rodgers would be very close. Choi, it's funny how you're talking. What you mean? Star VVD or Anderson? VVD. Bringing Tavernier or Garner? I would go Tavernier for sure. Now on pens. Choi, it's funny how you were talking about Ekatike before anybody, and now everybody has him, but you. I know, Will. And again, he done well. He done well, and then he stopped doing well when everyone brought him in, and I stopped talking about him. And then I couldn't get to him, so I've brought in Wirtz, who's done well, and I got rid of Wirtz. So I've been left with nobody. Should create a wildcard draft, Choi. Great to see. Would be some interesting picks. I will make one right now, and I would be so confident on the picks that I'd probably be able to bang it out in 2 minutes. Before I do that, though. Yeah, Barry's a great pick, first off, says Farah. A monster stream with all the FPL content creators would be lit. Yeah, I would love that as well. I would do it, but the thing is, again, I'm not a top content creator. I'm just a content creator, first off. Secondly, what would you like to see, though? That would be absolute carnage if there was multiple people talking. Really, Chai, Bowen over Watkins. Absolutely Bowen over Watkins. Bowen is a player who's been trying to get West Ham out of trouble forever, every single season. And that's why, given the circumstances, I would still go Bowen because I know he'll play every single minute. Whereas Watkins, as good of a form he's on, he's stop-start. And secondly, let's get on to the wildcard draft. Now again, this is me just plopping all my thoughts onto paper, and this is what I would do if I was on the wildcard. But let's give it to you. And again, I'm probably going to be a small bit out of budget here, but I'll see what I can do anyway. So first off, without a shadow of a doubt, I would not have two playing strikers. I say not two playing strikers. I would have Mane and I would have Krupi Jr. Genuinely, because of everything that has happened and the consistent minutes. And I know it might seem knee-jerky for Mane, but again, he's just a player who's starting to get minutes. I actually couldn't care less about the return. It's just good to see that he's able to return. Krupi Jr., I actually think if he gets consistent starts over the next run of games, he could be starting in my team sooner rather than later. Again, this will be, if I was wildcarding, guys, and do not copy this because, again, I've not given this much thought. Sorry, I was getting sidetracked. Who would I go for on goal? I think this would be probably my hardest decision of this team. And to be honest, I actually don't think there's any one standout. I think Quavian Kelleher is probably the best out of an average bunch. Elsewhere, you could go with Sanchez. Again, gauge whatever you think on Sanchez's fitness, but I would go Sanchez. Without a doubt, we'd go Gabriel. Gabriel is just phenomenal. You could have a debate on Saka or Rice. Because I'd probably want Palmer for the run of games, I would go with Rice. The only reason I would go for Rice over Palmer. Kuna would probably stay for now. I say that he's Burnley away, and I'd leave enough money to potentially go to Fernandes. I wouldn't have Gordon, I don't think. I'd just go straight up to Palmer, like I said. Again, if you have Palmer, the likelihood is that you cannot go to... you cannot also have a Gordon. In my defence, I would definitely have one of Keane or Tarkovsky, for sure. I'm going to put in Keane for budget constraints. And I would also definitely, again, maybe I've not given this enough thought, but Matheus Nunes would be in my team. He's just been so good this season. My preference, of course, because we have 4-5-1, we need a playing midfielder. So let's just put in a 4.2 Mukiele in for now. And then let's stick in someone for 8.2 million. Now, this is the tricky part. You could actually have a Sharky. Or sorry, I already have Sharky in here. Sorry, not Sharky. What did I say, Sharky? You could do two things. You could keep Kuna and keep enough money in the bank to get to Bruno. So what's that, 0.8 you need? Or you can just bring in an 8.2 midfielder and hold Kuna. And I actually have nothing wrong if you want to hold on to Matheus Kuna, because I think he is a good option. And you could go to a Gordon, you could go to a Rodgers, you could go to an Enzo. For me, I think I would go to a Rodgers, Bruno G, or a Gordon. One that is on my radar and it probably comes too early and it's a terrible entry point is Cody Gakpo. But next week, I quite like Gakpo, I want to say. Tavernier is also one that could be a nice enabler if you want to get to a double up on Saka, Rice, and just Gabriel. I think that's also plausible. We have 10.6 million in the bank. Just to note, I also don't have the most amount of team value, so you can account for that. Tavernier is a good pick regardless, because his fixtures are very good later down the line. 90 minutes, pen share. Again, I think here we're hunting a lot of minutes. But yeah, I would probably just go with I probably would keep Kuna. And for now, not have Tavernier. Maybe get to him later down the line. And let's just put in, let's just say, a Gordon for now. Again, I don't think this is the best wildcard by any means, but it's probably something similar to what I would do. And there's also a case of moving out of Sharky, because if you're worried about minutes, that's justifiable. And you also have 0.8 million in the bank if you want to go to a Mukiele, to a Nathan Collins perhaps, or you could also afford a Nico O'Reilly or Trevor Chalobah. Let's throw in a Trevor Chalobah. Is that enough for Trevor Chalobah? 5.5, no it's not. But let's just assume your team value is much better than mine, because mine is absolutely terrible. That's probably what I would go with on wildcard, something similar to that. Again, I won't be set on it. I would have to give it some more thought, but it would be similar to that in my eyes anyway. Let me know in chat if you disagree or agree with that. Again, sorry if I've missed a lot of your comments. Hello mate, start Mukiele or Gehi? Again, Gehi is just such a goal threat and he's hard to bench because of DEFCON also. I probably would just go Gehi, there's not much in it. Toss on Grealish. Grealish is a good pick, but again, he's not going to be that explosive asset. Choi, you are a top content creator. You got the credentials behind you. Maybe a deadline stream, remote, or all-in-one podcast room. Could be carnage, says Crypto. I appreciate the kind words. I don't think we're there yet. I think for me to become... Okay, I know what it could take for me if I wanted to, take this to another level. The issue, well, not necessarily an issue. I make my team selection videos, and they've been here every single week this season so far. And I've only missed 2 deadline streams. The issue with my content is that it's largely based around me, which is an issue. And I just don't have the time to allocate putting together graphics, continuously changing them on a week-to-week basis. They need to be more about you guys, and I'm aware of that. Because if they're more around about you guys, then you're more engaged. You know what to do with your own teams. Whereas when I'm doing my team selections and talking about my own teams, my own team, then it's less appealing to a larger audience, I would say. So for me, if I wanted to have 20, 50k, 100k subs, which genuinely, I think if I committed full time to this, I probably eventually could get 20k, and that's for sure with consistency. I would first off have to find my niche. This goes for all things in content creation, not only in FPL, by the way, if anyone's interested. But find your niche in the niche. So I've already built my platform. I would have to do a video once a week that will be something slightly bit more different at a time that would appeal to people that is not already done. Secondly, I would have to make more appealing content to the masses, so showing you stats, analytics, and data, not only what I want to do with my team. And thirdly, I would have to have probably a final discussions where I talk about team news, press conferences, and any last decisions, because those are the videos that get people constantly back on your channel, because you can be the complete source of information. Like if you imagine, right? If I passed away, let's just say, like you would just go, bro, your mic is really, really bad. Sorry, I'm kicking my mic. I do apologize. sorry, I do apologize. I was kicking my table. Like if you know, you would still have all the information you needed because you have people who provide all the data. Whereas, let's just say, let's talk FPL. If everyone else disappeared tomorrow and Andy was the only human on earth providing the information for FPL, you could get absolutely everything you needed from Andy. And that's why so many people tune in, because he's done it for so consistent. For such a long time, he provides absolutely every single piece of information. And he posts about almost every single goal in every game. You know, he covers all corners and he's done it for so long. So, you know, that's what I miss. Whereas in terms of my content, the only thing you miss out on is my own team, where, you know, a large amount of people won't care about in general. I like that it's about your team. Yeah, thank you. You know, some people will be interested in my journey. Again, this is how this all started. How it started was me showcasing my team when I was second in the world. A lot of unit content is focused on audience, Chai. Yeah, that's true. Chai in suit soon. Imagine Tottenham get Asian manager like Chelsea got Matisse lookalike. You would kill it. What? What have I just read? Tarkovsky or Keane for Van Dijk, or save the transfer? Tarkovsky for Keane for Van Dijk. I would save the transfer. To be honest, I started watching you because of your rank. Now I like you, and that's why I keep watching. Yeah, that's good to hear. And for more people to be watching, because it's only about my team, I'd need my good rank again. Because my content doesn't appeal, you know, if you're not looking at my rank, I suppose. But Andy and that have so many, the most questions don't get answered. That's true. That's also true. Why not make EPL football videos in general? Because a lot of people subscribe for fantasy football. You know, a lot of people think that, you know, when you make content that you can, like if you build an audience, that you can just make other content. But genuinely, I think if I made a Premier League video, not about fantasy football, it wouldn't do 1/10 as well, I don't think. FPL Joe says, feel you regarding graphics. If it helps, I don't do graphics for my content. It's an app I've made that does the FPL graphics generation for me. Let me know if you want to chat about it. That's really interesting, FPL Joe. I've actually thought about doing that myself. I've actually put together something that does it, but very poorly. And I was thinking about developing something, but I'd be interested to see what type you could come up with. But for me, I'm kind of, you know, I'm in the motion of using my own templates for now, I guess. And the issue I would have is pulling that into graphics, because they have to be manually done. I would argue that all the top content creators are all template and would have and would be good to have a contrarian voice. That is fair, but what I would say, if you look at it, I mean, this season you have Andy, who is top 10k. You know, as template as he may be, who he hasn't been this season, you know, is doing very well. Would you start Lafi or Ekatike, Chai? I mean, I would just start Ekatike in that case. Chai, would you bring in Bruno Fernandes for Foden? I wouldn't. Love the stream. Thoughts on Johnson going to Palace? I think it's a good move, both for Johnson, Crystal Palace and Spurs. Patrick Starring for Squidward, don't love that. Too afraid not to captain Haaland? I think, if anyone knows me, I'm never afraid to throw the armband around. It's just I think Haaland is by far the best captain this week. Bro, you think that Royce and Gabriel will not perform like last game week? Yeah, actually, I would be confident that they don't. Like, Saka, Timber can also return. Bench Dorgo, Lewis Hall, or Raul. I would bench. I would probably bench Raul. I would try hold on to Ekatike if I could. By the way, 25 minutes until the end of the stream, lads. Do hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. I am really enjoying making the content as usual. Let's do another little scroll on the timeline to see what people are up to. And then I'll also have to post my own team. Yeah, this is the last week of the festive period, ladies and gents. So enjoy it while you can. And thank you for subscribing, Kalsa. Let's look at some of the overall projections for the game week. Let's read this. This is interesting. From 11ify. The big difference is on Crystal Palace win percentage. This is likely driven by disagreement in both directions. Both the primary driver is Palace. The model has been much higher on Palace all season and slightly lower on Villa. Everton is almost entirely down to markets, exaggerating how bad Wolves are. I am a bit lower on Man City and Arsenal attack this week. This is driven by differing views on attack ratings rather than opposition. Liverpool at 0.95 and 0.99 is quite aligned, but the path of that number is slightly different. I am higher on Liverpool attack and Arsenal defence. Almost perfectly aligned on the rest. Interesting. Like. Very useful. Again, I'm going to do another little scroll on the timeline and then we'll get back to your questions, which is right now. Alright, let's see where your guys' questions are. I would still play Dallo, Johnny. Glad you aren't sitting next to the window anymore and the green screen. Yeah. For now, a lot of people are commenting on the camera. Again, it is quite nice. Bench DCL or Wilson? I would start the penalty taker. Bro, can you suggest more options to move ahead from Kudus? Okay, we have Gordon, Sharkey, Soboslai can still go to. We have Bruno Guimaraes, Cody Gakpo. I've got the captaincy on Semenyo. He will fire boom, since that is the last time Semenyo can play for Bournemouth. Interesting. Why don't you play Dubravka instead of Alisson? Because I think Burnley concede more goals than Liverpool do. Are you going to watch the game tonight? An absolute relegation classic banger it could be. Interestingly enough, I actually watched the last game with West Ham versus Wolves. You know what? It was surprisingly a good game. Will I watch the game tonight? Probably, because it's the only game on, but it depends what time I get home at. What are your thoughts on Marcus Tavernier? A great option for sure. In a week or two would be my preference, Shane. But yeah, 90 minutes, pens, nailed. Looks good to me. Alright, Chai, you legend, says Dr. James. Who do I bench out of Semenyo, Gordon, Foden, Sharkey, Rice, Bone, Thiago? None of them are benchable. But if I had to choose, I would bench Thiago. I don't know how you're in that dilemma. Fair play. Start 2 of Moily, Ekatike and Mukiele. Probably Moily play the fixture. Hey, Guardiola, Paqueta to Rodgers and Mukiele or any other combo. Rodgers and Mukiele, I like that. When will Kudus be ready to play? I don't have a definitive answer for you, John, but it looks like he's going to be out for sure. Hey, Chai, selling Richards and Minta. Should I go Tavernier and Chow or Bruno Guimaraes and Alderete? Tavernier and Chow would be my preference. Davis says, I can't believe Jack Grealish isn't getting more love. Amazing fixtures as at a right price. To be honest, I can't dispute that, Davis. But I actually, he's one of those where he's fine. He actually fits in the same boat as a lot of the other options, in my opinion. I would also consider Bruno Guimaraes a fine pick. And also, who else is out there at that price point? Sharkey is, also a decent pick. But I don't think he's going to be an option that's going to blow your socks off anyway. Is triple Arsenal defense really bad? No, it's not really bad. They're the best defense in the league. I don't think it's bad, but would I do it? No. I think there is some value in playing a Rice or a Saka. And should I play Anderson over Ekitike or Volomade? Over Ekitike. Minta to Enzo, or wait until we see how Chelsea does with the new manager? I would do Minta to Enzo because, you know, you're going to want to get rid of Minta, and Enzo will always play regardless of the manager. Who do you think is the most nailed midfielder under 6.6 with good fixtures ahead? Tavernier. I have weak spots. Ekitike and Anderson, who both need to start. Also have Neto, who hasn't done anything. 2 free transfers, 0 million in the bank. Thinking of rolling through bench is very weak. I think you can roll that if you have Neto, to be honest. And Anderson. Best replacement for Kudus? Yeah, like I said, Tavernier. Should I bench Semenyo? No. Who would you bench, Anderson or Wilson? Again, I would bench Anderson. Santos might take Enzo's time. I don't know. You know, Andre Santos has been really good, but Enzo has been better. I'm actually going to post my team now before I forget, guys. We have 19 minutes before the deadline. I'll get back to answering your questions. For now, though, while I'm posting this, do hit the like button and subscribe. And also, I hope you've been enjoying the content on the channel and trying my absolute bestest. So, let me quickly grab my rank, wherever it is. Actually, I can just type it, or I can copy and paste it from here. Again, I still feel like I can claw this back, guys. 336, 418, not ideal. But, you know, by the way I play, it is always going to be like this, where I see big heaps and trots in the rank. So I have no worries about it. Haaland with the armband. And the move I've done is Kudus to Gordon. Best of luck this game week. Let's see some teams below. Let's do a pointing arrow. Why are my emojis not coming up? There you go. Let's do a magpie. Is there a magpie in here? No magpies. No emoji it is. Okay, team is uploaded. And now to your questions for the last 80 minutes. Who is Bellatar? Bellatar. Hungarian filmmaker. I'm actually unfamiliar. Excuse my ignorance. Well, lad, would you do Ekitike to Thiago to free funds for Konate to Gabby? A part of me, if I owned Ekitike, like, I'd love to hold him for that Burnley fixture. I'll be honest. But if you do not have any other Arsenal defence, Konate to Gabby looks good. The problem with that is Konate also has a brilliant fixture next game week. That's why I would hold on to Ekitike. I don't think Thiago is going to bang 2 weeks in a row, especially with the amount of minutes he's played. Do I think Krupi plays? Yeah, I do think so. Hello, FPL Choi, the differential goat. Thank you, Oamara. With 1 free transfer, will you do Ekitike to Watkins or just roll? And start one of Stack, Vanderberg, Cash, and bench Ekitike. I would just start. Probably just start Cash and hold Ekitike, like I said, for the Burnley fixture next week. Brendan Johnson in, not for me. Why did you go Gordon over Rodgers? Again, Rodgers has actually been really good. I've watched Villa for a few weeks now, and he is largely involved in what they do, but I just still feel like if Gordon is going to get minutes in these games, at home fixture, Leeds, Wolves, I think it is next week, and then 2 home fixtures after that. I mean, I really fancy that run for some hauls. And he's on penalties. How long do you think Keane will be in the squad with Brantway come back? I mean, I feel like Keane has actually been really good this season. To answer your question, though, I don't know. I'm unsure whether to go Mateus Nunes or Chalobah on wildcard. I would probably just go with Nunes. Brighton 2.0, imagine. Would you start Ekitike or Lacroix? I would start Lacroix. I mean, it's Ekitike versus Arsenal. Like, I mean, by far the best defence in the league. I'd have no issue benching him anyway. Especially when he's just back from injury. Gordon Hall incoming, you think so? Hey, Shai, would you start Ekitike, Virgil, or Alderete? I would start Virgil. Alright, I'm going to do another little scroll on the timeline, lads. 15 minutes until the deadline is up. Again, do smash the like button to the 133 you guys that are in here. Appreciate you kind souls for joining me. And get your questions in. Bournemouth winless in the last 11. You know what's coming, boss. Dr. Tottenham is coming. I'll be there for it. Don't you worry. Hello, Choi says TL5. He says, would you start Ekitike, Virgil, or Alderete? I answered that already. Sorry. Choi, would you value selling Cappier for Newcastle defender or wait for Gab next week? I think I would rather play in Cappier this week. Actually, no. Yeah, I would. I would just play in Cappier, and if you can get Gabriel next week, brilliant. Kudus to Tavernier or Wirtz to Bruno? I would go to Kudus to Tavernier because Kudus needs to go. Whereas Wirtz doesn't need to necessarily go. Kudus, Kuna and Anderson for Xavi Simons and Gabriel / Chow for a -4. Absolutely not, Wesley. What is going on over there? I want Gordon or Bruno G, but I know that the one I don't pick will hold. The game drives me nuts. Yeah, this game we play is tough, man. It is tough. That's the... Sorry, guys. I just realised that my noise was going. I opened my phone and I didn't realise that cuts off the noise. Are you going to do team reviews on your post? You know what? Let's stick in, for the next 5 minutes, let's do quick fire team reviews. And we'll do any of the ones that are in here already. Sinking ships as legs. I love this team. This team must have been through some sort of wildcard or something. That is easily an 8 out of 10 from legs. Not sure what bench and Semenyo, if I should start him. If so, who? I mean, that's another decent team. I'd be inclined to give that more of a 7. Should he start Semenyo? I think I would start Semenyo. That is actually a really tough decision. That's a solid team, man. 7. That's an 8. Would I start Semenyo though? I would play him for his last game. Bench Thiago. This team looks poised for a midweek score. Thank you, John. Appreciate your easy roll. Easy roll without a doubt. And then you'd have Ekitike in for Wilson next week. That team is a 7 also. Again, not seeing any shite teams yet, and that's largely the case on Twitter. On Twitter, it's quite rare because there's so many engaged managers on Twitter that you see a poor team. Again, for this game week, this team is very strong. He's got Gabriel in place. Rogers in there. Love that team. That's also a 7. I know I've not given a bad score, but I promise you I'm not trying to hype up these teams on purpose. I would say this team is probably less of a score. I would give it a 6. Reason being, again, Ekitike not great. Szoboszlai not ideal, even though he could still get something. Again, let's see if there's any last few teams put in, and then I'll get back to your questions, guys, in chat. Ollie's put in his team Kuna to Palmer next week. I actually love that. Bruno Fernandes, I don't fancy this game week, I'll be honest, but it's interesting that you're starting both Guéhi and Lacroix. For me, actually, I think I would have played... I would have been tempted to play Anderson for sure over Guéhi, but I feel like you're in a position because you already have Bruno to play him. 7. Dangle, who to captain? Haaland, without question. This team is a 6. IMO, again, you could disagree with that, fine, no hard feelings. 5 at the back, rolling 3 free transfers. Now that's good. Because you've got 3 free transfers, this team gets an automatic upgrade. And I'm going to say that's also a 7. Let's see if we can get any show teams. FPL Bana, Kenny, what you got for me? Sesko, I love that. For this given game week, I'm going to give this team an 8. It looks like a free hit. Love that. Actually, for this game week, maybe that's a 9. Jalen, we'll take two more. Jalen with this team, he's got very solid team. I'd also give that a 7. Sade is a nice differential. Joe, very nice graphic. That's beautiful, my friend. Very, very nice graphic, I have to say. Palmer next week. And a solid team to come with it. Very nice. Okay, well, let's take the last one here, which is from Cho. Cho sends in his team. Again, I'm starting to see a lot of the same teams. I will give this team a 7 also. So many people with Shirky, Rogers, Gordon, Kuna, Soboslai, Thiago, Haaland. Again, that's why the numbers have been so similar because, other than that Sesko team, that's why I gave a higher rating. It was different and it was quite nice. 10 minutes until the deadline. Chai, I'm telling you, after the Fletcher interview, I'm confident Bruno plays in the attack and have a big impact on this game. He is back. Big words from Paul. And you know what, Paul? I will hold you to that next stream. I will hold you to it. Be interesting to see how that turns out. And I just realised I need to move this over better. Raya plus Minta for Sanchez plus Rice for a -4. Yes, if you do not have a playing 11, like I said, start Bowen or Gordon. You have to start both of them, no weak foot. Hi, have a good stream. Thank you. Here's my wildcard. That is a lot to read, but initially, Mateus Nunes, brilliant. Sharky, Rogers, Bruno G, Rice, no complaints. Very good wildcard. A lot of people on wildcard this week. Starting 11, here it is. Mane, Krupi, optimal. Minot's in it. I don't think I would have though. Elsewhere looks good. Would you do Richards to Chow or start Anderson and roll 3 free transfers? I would probably bring in Chow if you like him long term. I quite like him long term, so yeah, I would. Chai, final question for the deadline. Elliot Anderson or Raul Jimenez to bench? I would just bench Raul Jimenez. Again, Chelsea, Derby, tough game. It was a good wildcard, yes it was. Start Mukiele or Anderson? Mukiele. Why Gordon over Bruno G? Like I said, I just feel like Gordon is more explosive. Mane or Krupi? I would go with Krupi. I still feel like Krupi has a big season ahead now that Kluivert's out. Start 2 of Haven, Stack and Volomati. I would start Haven and Volomati. Bench 1 of Hincapié, Dorgu, Moily, Havre in goal. I would probably bench... That's a tough one, Goss, and I actually don't have an answer. That is a 50-50 on who you'd bench there. I definitely play Dorgu. Thoughts on Garner? Decent option, for sure. Is benching Ekitike okay? It is okay. But if he starts against Arsenal, I don't think it's too much of a big deal. Start Dubravka or Sanchez? Sanchez without a doubt. I know, but I have Enzo, Foden, Rice, Rogers, Gordon with Haaland, Bowen and Watkins. Have to bench one or just bench boost. Ooh, okay. That's a tough spot to be in. What would I do? I would probably start Gordon. I feel like you're going to be bitten with either of those, though. They have both have a good chance to return. Hello, Yusuf. How are you? That is a lot of players, but looks good. Read my team. It's mad how my brain clocked this read my team from RMT. Hold on to Ekitike or buy Thiago. Hold on to Ekitike if you have a playing 11. Why start Heaven over Stack? I don't like the fixture for Leeds this week. Away at St. James Park, I feel like that's quite reasonable. Keane, Verts or Dallo, Grealish? Probably Dallo and Grealish, I guess. Free up funds elsewhere. Hi, Choi. Much love from Sri Lanka. Appreciate it, the official hashtag. Bench Sabo or Alderete? Bench Alderete. I'm off, guys. Good luck, Anto. Come on, you Spurs. And thank you for supporting us, Anto. Again, and shout out to everyone who stayed tuned in from the start. I mean, 2 hours listening to me. I couldn't think of anything worse. So thank you all who've stuck around, and I will be answering any quick fire questions for the last 5 minutes. It's good, Shy. Good to see you back, says Yusuf. You too. Play Mukiele or bring in Chow for a -4? Definitely just play Mukiele. You could see 4 points there for sure. Bench Ekatike or Wharton? Interesting. I would just bench Ekatike. W Choi, W Chat, W Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. Yeah, love the Spurs chat in here. Come on, you Spurs, absolutely. How are we feeling about Spurs, by the way? Can we see a win? I can definitely see a win. Yo Choi, Wilson or Pedro Porro? Pedro Porro. Bench Keane, Bowen or Rodgers? How do you do this? How do you land yourself in these positions? I'd probably bench Rodgers, honestly. Reluctantly. Bruno for a hit or wait? When wildcard, Chai? Probably game week. That is later down the line, not anytime soon. The earliest I could ever wildcard is 24. Earliest, but I don't think that's likely. Timber to Chow for free, and then Gabriel in next week. You could do that, but I don't think it's worth it. I would just hold on to Timber, to be honest. You need to start 2 out of Sabo, Ekatike, Richards, Anderson, Laffy. Currently on Elf and Sob. What do you think? I would also be on Elf and Sob, without a doubt. What formation would you go for on wildcard? Formation is largely irrelevant for me when I play this game. It does not matter. It depends on the players, but based on the players that I would choose, 4-5-1. Start Sabo or Xhaka? I would start Szoboszlai. Jovan says, you can see us beating Bournemouth. We're in a rough state right now. We need a win. Kroopy Brace versus Spurs incoming. I feel like this could be a very open game, especially with how Bournemouth have played in recent weeks. It's okay, lads, if you want to hate on Tottenham. To be honest, I hate watch Tottenham every week as well. So it's nothing new. Okay, just to round up where we are, I feel like I've answered the majority of questions that you could have possibly asked. Again, to the 133 year, thank you for tuning in, and do hit the like button and subscribe if you aren't already. But for my team, I'm quite happy going into this game. Again, this is the last game before our 1 week off, unfortunately. So do catch me on Fantasy Football Scout. Because it is a 1 week off, I will have a transfer plans video, and I'll also have a team selection video for you guys out this week. Hopefully, transfer plans will be a day after the deadline is passed, and the team selection will likely be 2 days before the deadline stream. And I'll also try to get around to making a wildcard video, maybe, or maybe a best players to buy. We'll see how I'm feeling. But best of luck, everyone. Again, the stream is not over. For any last questions that you guys have, do stick them in. Shiv has said about hitting 200 likes, or Spacine, but I don't even know if we're on 100 likes, are we? Oh, we've smashed 125 likes already. Again, lads, you've absolutely killed it. Thank you all. Appreciate you. I can't ask for much more than that. That's the goal I set. And I'm going to do a little scroll to make sure we're not missing that on the timeline. But do let me know if you are going to watch this game today. Paqueta in the squad, says Maximilian. That's why I was scrolling on the timeline to see that. I don't know where you have seen that, but interesting. Anyway, I'm locked in. I actually feel like next week could be an easy role for my team. Big news for Andy LMAO. Yeah, I've been keeping tabs on Andy, alright. But yeah, that's probably everything from me, with Paqueta starting, with being the last thing. Do you think Kroopy gets more starts and minutes than Mane, Shai? No, I don't think he gets better minutes than Mane, but I think he's the better option because, he's likely to get early subs anyway, but Bournemouth are just significantly a better attack. Which player should I choose between Mukiele, Keane and Dorgu? To buy, I would buy Keane. To start this week, I would probably go Keane or Dorgu. When West Ham Instagram posted a picture of Paqueta's shirt. There you go, lads. Shout out Maximilian for putting it in. Anderson, Szoboszlai, who do I bench, Shai? I would bench Anderson. Okay, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. Again, thank you all for joining me. Apologies for missing the last stream. Is Sanchez fit? He was in training. Again, stay tuned on my channel. Again, I will have a transfer plans video out for you guys, likely after the last round of games. the penalty taker role I would start in that case. So stay tuned on my channel. Again, we are closing in on 10,000 subscribers. Again, I hope you've had a good start to your new year. And let's hope for more green arrows going into this game week, because this has been poor from my end. But I am confident going into this game week with my own team. I hope you enjoyed the stream, lads. Do hit the like button and subscribe before you leave. But I'm going to leave it there. And as usual, I will see you in the next.